morning, everybody. How are you doing? I see Shani saying it's way cold, so I know how Shani's doing. I do. I tried a trick. Maybe it worked. I'll find out in a minute. I had the last overlay up, and while it was up, I went ahead and got out and came back in to try to fix the audio before I came up. Pat says, sounds great. Maybe I figured out a trick. Let's see who's in here. Elaine, good sound. Maybe I figured out a trick. I don't know. Ya's daughter, good morning. Alicia, so cold. I'm about to get a seasonal job as a glass cutter. Oh, Alicia. Mary said it worked. No, Dawn, we're doing a show for summer next week. But no, you and Candace cannot come up. No. Hello, Alexis. Sarah said she's in Oregon. What's the weather in Oregon? Hello, Lauren. Mary says it's warm in Australia. I've heard that before. So down in Australia, when it's cold here, it's hot there. Good morning, where's summer? I guess that would make sense, right? Hello, Rexy. Hello, Sarah Moon. Boo Sheets in the house. Very chilly in Alabama. I shouldn't say this early in the year because, well, we're almost to 2023. This early in the season, it's unseasonably cold. Like I said, this time last year, it was about 65, 70 degrees. And I'm good with that. It's very cold this morning. There's frost on the ground. I don't like it. And this time next week, will be Black Friday. It'll be the day after Thanksgiving. Who all does the Black Friday sales? Is that still a thing? Do you guys still go out and do that? Emma Lou, hello. AP, hello. Pat, the OG Pat, hello, Clumsy. Hey, Jonesy, what's up, girlfriend? Hello, Miriam, how are you? Walking Dead is freezing too. Christine is in the house. Hello, Big T. Wait, what? That is a really cool name. Slim Hauser made it in. Justice Jane's here. Hello, Ski. How are you? I see some new names. So while I'm getting set up, make sure you take a moment to sub the channel and hit the Remind All button. Normally, we're live every morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. Sometimes there's an asterisk. That is subject to change. You never know. Yesterday, we had 2 shows. Next week's definitely going to be some 2-show days. Because we have members lives. I'm doing the Thankful for You series for the members. And it's been super busy in the true crime world. The criminals have not been minding their manners. So we've had a lot going on all at once. It seems like the last 3 months have been crazy. Seems like it's been insane. So on one hand, like I said, the criminals have not been minding their manners. They've been keeping us on our toes. But also law enforcement in some cases have gotten some credible tips or stepped it up a notch. So we've had some breaks in some cases. Rude criminals. Michael Vaughn, as you know, very, very significant break in that case. As of today, they are still searching for little monkey in the backyard of the Wonder home. By the way, I put a video up this morning about Stacy and Sarah Wondra. If you have time, go check that out. Little Quentin, there's no update, but they are still searching the landfill. Still covering that case. Harmony Montgomery, step meth, made a plea deal. We're going to discuss that in depth on Monday. Also on Monday, they're going to be having a hearing to unseal the probable cause in Delphi, still covering Delphi. And this week, also a quadruple murder in Moscow, Idaho, at the University of Idaho. That is absolutely insane. It's a horror movie. It's a damn horror movie. It is a damn horror movie. And Jesse, I am so glad that you brought that up. Now we need at least an update in the case of Summer Wells. I'm going to be talking about that next week too. Get my glasses on, make sure they're clean, my Dollar Tree specs, good to go. So this with also the link is pinned. Don't be shy. If you're sitting backstage and I don't bring you up immediately, it's not because I don't want you. It's not because I don't see you. Well, that happens sometimes. Either I need to finish my thought, the clip, or whatever, you will be brought up. As we've been talking about, we're normally talking about keep your eyes on your children. Keep your eyes on your children. It's been a real heated topic this week. I think we all understand around here, but some don't. We don't worry about those other places. We do our own thing around here. We very rarely talk about, and we don't need to until a case like this comes up. You raise them right. They go off to school, whatever, university, trade school, junior college, tech school, whatever. You damn sure can't keep your eyes on them every second then the unthinkable happens. I cannot believe that these four kids, I still call them kids, sorry. Kaylee, 21. Madison, 21. Ethan, age 20. Xana, age 20. Murdered. Brutal. We're all adults here, so I can use details. So for those of you that are new to the case, these are the victims. University of Idaho. This happened on Sunday, the 13th, between 3 and 4 a.m. Whole world ahead of them. Whole life ahead of them. Xana and Ethan had been dating, from what I gather, about a year. Whole world ahead of them. Ethan and Xana had been at a party. Kaylee and Maddie, had been at a bar that night, went to the food truck later. Then something goes awry. All four are murdered. This isn't a simple somebody walks in and is a good shot. You know what I mean? Because we can talk about weapons all day. You got to know how to use them. You got to know how to use them. This was a knife. Thomas, you can take that. It's cold in Florida. Talk somewhere else. I've got on socks, Thomas. Everybody knows I hate socks. So I'm just going to go through a recap of the case real quick for those of you that are new to the case, just coming into chat, because it's new to a lot of people. It just happened on Sunday. Here is the press release. This was from November 15th. The crime happened on Sunday, though. On November 13th at 11:58 hours, Moscow Police Department officers responded to a call on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon arrival, officers discovered 4 individuals who were deceased. The deaths have been ruled a homicide. Good call. I don't think they needed too much investigation for that. Although no weapons have been located, based on preliminary information, investigators believe that an edged weapon such as a knife was used. Autopsies are scheduled to be completed later this week. The autopsies are done. Most definitely was a knife. Also, based on information from the preliminary investigation, investigators believe this was an isolated, targeted attack, and there is no imminent threat to the community at large. Now, They backed that statement up a little bit and said, be vigilant. We haven't caught the person or persons that have done this. Be vigilant. Lock your doors. Change the number to your keypad. Use the buddy system. Some kids opted to go home early. They went home early. They didn't wait for the break to be official, and they went home early. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I would too. So a lot came out overnight, and if there's any of it that is not 100% correct, let me know so I can go find what is correct. I don't want to put out rumors and I heard when it comes to stuff like this. I can't stand it. And when a case is fast moving and it's brand new, we can seriously go through something that is from an hour ago, and in the last hour, they have corrected it. So I put a poll on the channel a couple hours ago. Going to ask you guys. Talk about things moving fast. Yesterday on the show, it was our first show for the Idaho 4. And I said, I really hope they protect the identities of the 2 roommates, because there was 6 in the house. 4 brutally murdered, 2 weren't touched. So I said, I hope that they don't release the identities of these 2. That's what I said yesterday. Well, during the show, it's as if I said Beetlejuice. During the show, the Daily Mail, the Daily Fail, released their identities and their pictures. I'm not putting it up. I don't really see any reason why. I'm just going to call them by their initials, D and B. Roommates, the roommates. We know who the roommates are because they're still alive. So I'm on the fence about this. I really am, because at this point they haven't been named as suspects. The police said they could either be, at this point, victims, witnesses, or suspects. I don't really have an opinion at this point. I put a poll up. Let me look to see what's going on with the poll real quick. I got to refresh that. I said, happy Friday. What are your thoughts on the Daily Mail releasing the identities of the roommates in the Idaho 4 murders? 61% of you have said, why not? They're potential suspects. They're potential suspects. 34% said, do not agree. They should be protected. Then other 6%, I haven't looked at that yet. I will, though. So 61% said, why not? They're potential suspects. I don't really feel a need to blast out their picture or anything today. We all know where to find it. I think it had been pretty much whittled down by many people anyway. The Daily Mail also said that the roommates, and this is actually reported by other news agencies, said they are not answering any requests for interviews, and they have locked down their social media, which I think is smart. I think is really smart. Really smart. It also came out overnight. I'm going to show a few clips before I get to the comments. If you haven't heard, something to think about. Xana, she fought back. She definitely fought back. So I go back to this. And it's just common sense. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not far-reaching. How the hell did nobody hear? I know I had some comments saying things that people have slept through. I saw one that I laughed at because a lady said, I've slept through tornadoes before. Well, I know where you're from, or I can guess. I have too, because I'm used to them. My ice maker goes off every 30 minutes. You can hear it in the show. It doesn't wake me up because I'm used to hearing it. I'm not used to hearing blood curdling, fighting for my life screams. That would wake me up. That would wake me up. Now, some people said it's a party house. They said it's a party house, so the music was on really, really loud. That would make sense then, because they're used to hearing that music, right? And so that's a noise they would sleep through. That could have tuned out what was going on. That would make sense to me. I don't know. I wasn't there. Now I have a question as to, well, I've got a million questions, but here's one. They said that there's no forced entry. It could have been that they just left the door open all the time. A lot of people bring up earbuds. A lot of people have brought up they could have had music going. I don't know. That is all speculation from here on out. I don't know. They're going to have to figure it out, because we know now that at least one of the victims fought back. There would be a noise there. There would be a noise there. Somebody make a noise. That fighting back, I mean, could have resulted in scratching, biting. I don't know. So I would think that the two remaining roommates would have some wound, right? I'm not saying that there was a party there that night. I'm not saying there was a party there that night. I'm just saying it was reported that there were parties that went on there quite a bit, and so there were noises. I'm not saying there was a party there that night. Sorry if that's how it came out. I would think, though, on the person that did this, because we know there's got to be at least one, that there would be some kind of wound. Because if Xana has defensive wounds, there's going to be a scratch, a bite. You know, she's hitting, swinging at them. I don't know. I mean, hell, even OJ had a wound. OJ cut his hand. OJ said he cut his hand on a glass in Chicago. I mean, especially out of 4, she fought back. There would have to be some wound somewhere. I would think that the roommates, they would have said, let me check you out. Let me look at your arms. So we know, we're just looking at what we know for facts. We know Xana fought back. So whoever did this, we're just going to assume would have a wound on them. It also came out, they were saying that they were all in bed sleeping, but this came out, Ethan was on the floor. One of the victims, understood to be 20-year-old Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, was discovered on the floor. Not the bed. Not the bed. On the floor. On the second level of the 3-story home. On Tuesday, police were seen collecting contents of trash cans closely. They're looking for the weapon. I don't know what makes them think that the weapon got thrown away. Unless this is just part of their search. They always search the trash cans. I don't know. So he was on the floor. I can only assume that Xana wasn't too far from him. They're a couple. So if she's scratching, hitting, etc., there is a very, very good possibility they could find DNA. If the scene is as they describe, which is like something like from Nightmare on Elm Street or something, I would think there would be footprints somewhere. There would be footprints somewhere. Then I wonder very much about the person that did this. All right, the door's left open. They don't specify how open it is. Is it open like a damn barn door? Ajar? Cracked? I don't know. Did this person just come in and they're hanging out and then started their plan of attack? Is it someone that they know that knew the key code? I don't know. Oh, hang on. Jay said, the news said Ethan was found in a separate room, separate from Xana particularly or by himself. I'm trying to figure that out myself because this news article, and we're going to be doing this for a while because it's a brand new case. One of the victims, understood to be 20-year-old Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, was discovered on the floor of the second level of the 3-story home. In this article, it doesn't mention where Xana was found in proximity to him. And we're going to go through the layout of the house later in the show because they are talking a lot about the sliding door, which would make the most sense to me. It would make the most sense to me. A lot of people are making references also to Amanda Knox. If anybody followed that case, it's crazy. Where Summer said, did he go down to the second floor to let somebody in? Now, there's a thought. They could have known this person. But you know how kids are. Well, hell, you know how adults are. Somebody knocks on your door, you don't think anything of it. You're getting an Amazon package, FedEx is dropping something off, you don't think anything to open your door. It could have been I'm a friend of a friend of a friend. Yeah, come on in. I don't know. I don't know. Let me look at this article real quick. I have so much stuff on the screen. It might get confusing. Brenda, you're right. The killer or killers, they have to have blood on them. Somewhere. I don't mean dripping from head to toe. Somewhere on them, they've got to have blood. And quite possibly a wound. That's why I'm not so hung up on the roommates right now, because they would damn sure be suspects if they have knife wounds on them. KCTV said, when I was in college, I was the only roommate without a key. I had to use my credit card all the time. Well, then you're a lot younger. You mean credit card to Jimmy the door open? All right, so let me get through this article real quick. This is from KXLY. Potentially, there are witnesses. Potentially, they are witnesses, meaning the roommates, D and B. He also added that they could be the key to this whole thing, which would tell you they're possibly suspects. Potentially, they are witnesses. Potentially, they are victims. He's not calling them victims yet. He also added that they could be the key to this whole thing. Snell said the two roommates have been working and talking with detectives, and they have been cooperative. It's been called a very complex and in-depth investigation, and detectives are pursuing many leads at this time. They don't know what type of knife was used in the attack, but authorities are going to local businesses to see if anyone recently purchased a fixed blade knife. I believe it was the coroner. We're going to hear her statement in a minute that said it's a large knife. A large knife. Some people have said they have given different types of knives, serrated hunting knives, a knife that looks like it was used by Rambo. It's got a sheath and everything. They're saying a large knife. I don't know. I'm not the knife expert. Let me go up to where they said, hang on. Idaho State Police spokesman Aaron Snell released new details about the murder. This came out last night of the 4 University of Idaho students. He told ABC News that the 2 surviving roommates who were in the house at the time of the murders have not been ruled in or out as suspects. So I understand all the rumors. I do. And of course, we're going to have a lot of speculation. We want to know what's going on. So we can put that one to rest. They were there. They were there. How they didn't hear anything, I don't know. How no one got up to go to the bathroom during the night or first thing in the morning and didn't notice anything, I don't know. Now, my assumption, and that's what I get for assuming, was that one of the roommates called 911. From what I'm understanding, the 911 call was not made from one of the roommates. Did you all hear that too? I think I have the article up on the screen. It was from someone that was trying to get a hold of one of the people inside the house, looked through the window supposedly, and saw someone laying there and made the call about someone's unconscious. That makes sense. See, yesterday it didn't make sense. Yesterday, in no way, shape, or form did it make sense. I said, you walk by your roommate, who I'm assuming is in their room asleep. For one, why wake them up? Then you go and you shake them. Then you realize they're not waking up. How do you miss the other three? How do you miss the blood? Etc., etc. Yamaha. Thank you. Yamaha said pretty much what I said yesterday, seen from the outside. So somebody came by. From what I'm understanding, it has to do with going to work. I don't know. I don't know. Looked through the window. And called 911 about an unconscious person. So we can put that to rest. Because my first thing was, why would you wake your roommate up anyway? What's it matter? It's Sunday. It's Sunday. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So they were inside the house. I know there's a lot of back and forth about that. The roommates were there. The prosecutor with the super cool beard that I said can do no wrong in this case because I just love his demeanor and I love the beard, said on the Today Show yesterday morning, they're still trying to put together why the call wasn't made until noon. Well, I don't think he so much means the person looking through the glass. I think he means the people that were alive inside the house. They got to figure that out. Unless the two roommates, D and B, were just, they slept the whole time and didn't know anything was going on until the police showed up. That could very well be. That could very well be. Rye Guy, I see you backstage. I'm getting ready to do some comments and then I'll bring you up. Hang on, my friend. Actually, I'll bring you up and you can do comments with me. Hey, Rye Guy, how's it going?
Good. I just read that one of the sisters, one of the victim's sisters just said that Moscow's not safe with the killer still on the loose.
Very sad. That's Kaylee's sister. She told the New York Times yesterday. She told the kids to get out of there. It's not safe. Now, obviously, that's her opinion. That's her opinion. The police did say, be vigilant. Be vigilant.
A lot of students are leaving.
Good call.
Yep, a lot of them, what I read a couple days ago, a lot of them are leaving.
Good call.
I would too. I would leave too because this hits so close to home from where I'm at.
Yeah, good call. I'd get the hell out of there. And I would also be looking at who left fast. I would have had every name of every student that was at that vigil last night. Every name. Now, they televised the whole thing. I think it's on, what is it, KTVB? Is that the right call letters? So I would be scanning the hell out of that crowd. I'd be scanning the hell out of that crowd looking for just one nick on a hand. And I'd be like, what'd you do to your hand?
Yeah, I would look at anybody who left the day of the murder.
Yep. Of course, their social media is going to be heavily looked at. Whoever might have followed them back home. Who do you think the target is? Do you think it's the two? Do you think it's Kaylee and Maddie when they came back from the food truck? Or do you think it's Ethan and Xana?
I think it's the two that, the other two, the guy and the girl. It could be the roommates, the other two that didn't hear anything.
Well, I guess my question about that is, people said it could be the roommates. They were after the roommates. Well, then you would just kind of come in and say nothing to see, hear, and leave, right? And
that's what I would have done.
Well, that's another question I have. If it's someone familiar with the house, and if this is targeted and isolated, then they would know that two other people live there. Would they not?
I would think so.
If it's someone familiar with this house and let's say was let in the door, or they just let themselves in through the sliding door, they're familiar with the house, then, and they're familiar with the people in it. How would they not know that there's two more people unaccounted for, if you know what I mean?
And they also said that two of the girls were sorority sisters.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of information out.
Yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't add up to me.
Mm-hmm. No, none of it does. All right, hang on. I'm going to go through the comments real quick. From yesterday. Shoot, some of these from just me talking in the beginning, I kind of went through. All right, so back to what a lot of people said. I can sleep through anything. I've slept through car wrecks. I've slept through this. I've slept through that. Car wreck, I do not understand. You need to go see the doctor. But everything else that we're talking about sleeping through are things that you're used to, if you know what I mean. If you can sleep through storms, then you must be used to storms. Naybread said 2 guys stalked them at the food truck. It's plain. A lot of people are looking at the food truck. They are. Thank you very much for that. But we're talking about Xana fighting back. Xana fighting back. Her father spoke about it. We're going to see that in a second. And it was noted by the coroner in another article. She fought back. If she can't breathe and she's bleeding out, she can't fight back very good. She fought back. I would think somebody would have heard that. And that's something that you would not be used to hearing. And you would wake up to. Anyhow, that's just my thought. What do you think, Ryan?
That's what I think, too. Did you go over where the bodies were sent to my county for the autopsy?
Say that again?
The bodies were sent to my city for the autopsy. Then they sent back the findings back to the county.
That's crazy. That is crazy. It's hard. It's insane. Hang on.
Yeah, the KXLY, that's a local news station from my city.
Is it on your local news a lot right now?
Yes, like if you go, I'll name the 3 major ones. Creb 2 is a local news from my area, KXLY, and KHQ. All three of those are local news channels from my state, from my city.
Well, I imagine it is on your TV all the time. It's being reported here, and I'm nowhere near Idaho. Cutting Up also said, no pun intended to the YouTube name, says someone followed them from the bar or the party. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is someone that followed them home for whatever reason, or someone that, well, they say targeted and isolated, maybe had this planned out because now they are investigating other places around town where the knife might have been bought. I go to Love for True Crime, who left a message and said, stabbing is very personal. At least one of them had to know the attacker. I'm leaning that way. I'm definitely leaning that way. It seems really personal to me, and maybe that somebody got in the way. I see you guys backstage. If you want to hang back, I'm getting ready to put you up. Becky said, I believe it was only one killer because it was all done with one knife. I do too. I don't think two people stood there and took turns and said, now it's your turn with the knife. I don't think so. I don't think that's what happened at all.
I think it's somebody that knew them.
I think so too. Hang on, I gotta turn my heat down.
Because, like what the caller said, what you said, killing with a knife is personal.
It's very personal, and random killing normally has some sort of motive. If it's random, money or SA, something like that. And from what I'm gathering, neither of those things have happened. Ryan, I'm going to put you backstage, and I'm going to start rotating people in real quick, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't be a stranger, my friend.
I won't.
Okay, Yamaha said, nope, only one. Cutting Up said, that's funny, Brooks. I'm a hairdresser. All right, I'm going to go through some of these questions real quick because I have some slides. One thing at a time. All right. So people are asking about SA. Was there any SA? One of the local reporters says, breaking new details. The coroner says all victims were killed using a large knife, one weapon. Each victim was stabbed more than once, and there is no indication of SA. They have not yet determined whether there were defensive wounds. Now remember, things change and change and change because we know now there was defensive wounds on Xana. All right, here's for the 911 call. The two roommates who survived and were home during the murder were not the ones who called 911. Somebody outside the house that came to the house supposedly was looking through the window trying to get the attention of someone in the house and called for an unresponsive, passed out person, basically. They said ISP has not ruled out the two female roommates as suspects, says no one is ruled out. ISP says they are potentially the key to this case. A lot of people are asking about the puppy dog. Chief Fry says Kaylee's dog has been returned to a secondary owner. So thank goodness the puppy is okay. Let's see what Kelly's thinking. Hello, Kelly.
Hey, honey. How are you doing besides freezing?
I'm good. You sound like you're underwater.
Well, probably because I have bronchitis.
Do you want to disconnect and come back up?
Yeah, let me try that.
Okay. Mirror in the Sky said, not safe in your own home anymore. Yes, roommates' phones taken probably. I have a feeling they have their phones. This too, we're going to get to this in the news clip. The FBI's Behavioral Health Analysis Unit is now there profiling the killer. Kind of gives you another reason to think that it may not be the roommates. Because I wouldn't think they would need behavioral science if they have them right there. But I don't know. I don't know. Real quick, let's look at the clip from the coroner. I want to know who the sick killer is, too.
At night or early in the morning. So it seems likely that maybe they were sleeping. It was late at night or early in the morning. So it seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
Were they found in separate areas of the house?
That hasn't been disclosed yet.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
And so, can you tell me if there were multiple stab wounds per victim, or were these sort of, individual lethal stab wounds that may have been less in number but more in lethality?
There were multiple stab wounds. Yes, on them. So, and
Were there? Go ahead.
And most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound. Yes.
Can you describe what that one might have been?
But they were to the fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Were there, and I only ask this because it sometimes determines what kind of a crime this was, a crime of passion, a random crime, a fight, a struggle. Was there, were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings. And it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death. It was.
That's a lot of information in a minute and a half there. Okay, so she says not slashed. It's a large knife. So yeah, they're puncture wounds. The fatal wounds are to the upper chest. She said neck. Of course, there's going to be a fatal wound. And as we heard in another article, I'm going to put it up real quick. I'll stop that one and bring that up real quick. Following Wednesday's autopsy of the 4 University of Idaho students found dead Sunday near campus, the coroner confirmed the cause of death was murder by stabbing. They're wasting a lot of time when they just keep repeating that. We already had that one figured out. She said it would have to be a large knife, and the knife hasn't been found. Now, all of this digging through the trash and everything, I don't know if that is their protocol or if the dogs have sniffed something out or what, but they're spending a lot of time going through the trash. I don't know if that's just what they do to clear it out or why they wouldn't assume that the killer would take the weapon with them. I don't know. She said the time of death for Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee is likely in the early morning hours. Police have shared that the 4 students were likely at King Road residence sometime after 1:45 a.m. The coroner said it's unknown who was attacked first. Well, I would think they would know by their temperature, but anyway, she said it is possible some wounds on the bodies were defensive. Xana's father said that she has defensive wounds. Now, she said it's possible some wounds on the bodies. She doesn't say body, so more than just Xana could have fought back. Let's see what Kelly thinks. What are you thinking, Kelly?
Can you hear me better?
A little bit.
Sorry. A thing to note first. Each floor of the house has 4 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And they're separated by Jack and Jill bathrooms.
Okay.
So if the roommates that survived were on the third floor with the dog, they may not have heard.
Okay, I'm putting the schematic, the pictures of the house up right now. So there's the address, 1122 King Road. There's 6 bedrooms.
Okay, so it's, each floor has 2 bedrooms. I misunderstood that.
All right, so this looks like a common area, living room, correct?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. And it looks like there's stairs that go into the basement. So when people say, how could they be looking through a second floor window? Because the second floor is the ground floor.
It's the ground floor, correct.
And right there would be the sliding door that goes into a common area. So there's no keypad on it from what I'm understanding.
Correct.
There's the kitchen with a sliding door. That's the same sliding door, I'm assuming. Yes. Okay. There's a sliding door. Some houses have more than one. Just want to make sure. Then there's the kitchen. Sliding door again. There's one bathroom.
One Jack and Jill.
Okay, so then we go into, I guess there's a bedroom with a closet.
Right.
And then there's a sliding window that goes out to a balcony.
Correct.
Sliding window. There's a sliding door that goes to a balcony.
And
So
I
this-
do believe that's the other bedroom. You remember, they're separated by a Jack and Jill bathroom.
Uh-huh.
So each bedroom has access to that bathroom.
Okay,
So
we're
there's
still on the
one bathroom
bedroom.
there, and you can see the door for the bathroom right there.
Can you speak up, Kelly?
I can try.
Everybody's having a hard time hearing you.
There is your Jack and Jill.
Okay, now this one looks like this is a bathroom to itself. I'm looking off the hallway.
Actually, there's a bedroom off to the side,
Okay.
and I believe there's a door on the other side, and this opens up into the common area. So this particular bathroom would be used for guests and the 2 other bedrooms on that second floor.
Okay.
And you go up to the 3rd floor, and you have the same situation.
Okay, now my understanding is what we're looking at right here is the 3rd floor. This is the 3rd floor. And the kitchen downstairs with the sliding door is the 2nd floor. Then you see stairs that go downstairs to the basement. Okay, there's washer and dryer. Not too concerned about that. Another bedroom. Another bedroom. Another bedroom.
There's your closet space. And each of those bedrooms have access to the bathroom on that floor.
Okay, so as far as getting in the house, I get the bathroom situation. I'm wondering, was it through the sliding door that leads into the kitchen? Or the sliding door, if somebody, well, they would have to get up to the 3rd floor.
And once in the house, it's easy to walk around.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about access to get into the house. I'm trying to figure out if somebody just opened the sliding door, they wouldn't really have to announce themselves. It's just like, I'm here and I'm a stalker or whatever. Could have surprised Ethan because he was found on the floor, not in bed sleeping.
Right. So Ethan, my thinking is Ethan is the first person. And then Xana went to go defend Ethan. So she was number 2. And the others, he heard stirring, so he went and got them. Now, what gets me is the coroner said it was a large blade.
Large blade. Yep, that's what she said. It has to be a large knife, is the exact words.
I thought she said large blade. Because
it depends. It depends on what publication you're reading. You hear large knife and you hear large blade. So I'm just going with large.
Well, my thinking behind that is with the large blade, that brings in things like daggers, swords. Those are large blades.
Machete.
Correct. But they're not necessarily classified as knives.
Right.
So, easy to hide, easy to maneuver, I would go with dagger or a machete.
And someone who knows how to use it.
Correct.
That's the thing. Sometimes people in cases like this, we're used to watching the movies and they think something like this, is just any old knife will do. And it's like you're cutting through hot butter. No, our skin is tough.
And I mean, at their ages, not so easy to get through, especially if they're fighting back.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know for sure Xana was. I'm going to let you unconnect and reconnect, okay, Kelly? Because you're really muffled.
All right,
honey. Dr. Latina, I see you backstage. I'll put you up in a second. Jonesy said, I heard it was a K-bar knife. Someone asked me to put the knife up. I have not heard anything anywhere that said what it was. They said they're still looking for the weapon. I know online a lot of people are speculating that's what the knife would be. Some people are saying it's a military knife. Some people are saying it's a hunting knife. I don't know, because they're still looking for the weapon. So I don't know. Let's see what Dr. Latina's saying. Hello, Dr. Latina. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Well, I'm good. I'm good. Are you ready for Thanksgiving?
Funny that you asked. My 2 daughters are actually working at the restaurant where they work when they're off, and so I will be eating at the restaurant. Yes, that's that. There goes Thanksgiving. But anyway, it's fine. I hope you're ready for Thanksgiving.
Nope, not even close. I got a lot of stuff to do. But
Okay.
I got
Well,
several things to do it.
I have some thoughts.
Okay.
First of all, I'm thinking back to now this is many, obviously decades ago, but when I was at college, we had dorms, and actually somebody left a rock or something, I don't know, to keep a dorm open, the door. And I do remember, thank God nothing happened to me, but somebody who was on the lam, a guy who was an arist, do you know what I'm talking about? He ended up gaining access to the dorm. And I left my room in the early morning to go to the common bathroom. And when I came back into my room, he was lying in wait.
God.
Yeah, horrible. But things worked out fine. I was back in the day quick on my feet, and I pushed him back and he was gone, and then the police were called. Fine. But the point is that it just takes one person to leave a door ajar to the outside for somebody to gain access and lie in wait. That's number one. Number two, my daughter, fast forward practically 40 years, she was in an apartment off campus. This past summer, one of her all those girls left their door unlocked, which I thought was really foolish and believe me, you can tell, like you were saying earlier in your program, you raise your kids up, but once they leave the house, you can't keep track of them and you can't be locking doors behind them or what their friends are doing. But anyway, this one girl was asleep in her room. Talk about, I know you said, well, if you hear noises that aren't that are unusual, you should wake up. Well, this girl, apparently some guy gained access through the unlocked front door of their apartment. It was like a row house. He ransacked and robbed the apartment while she was sleeping. She awakened, who knows when. Thank God he didn't go into her room. And she awakened to a ransacked apartment, and he left her unscathed. So, I mean, there's so many of these kind of possibilities. I guess I'm sorry to go on and on. I'm going back to not the knife thing yet. Let's look at the layout of the house. It isn't even a question of whether somebody allowed somebody in. I think the most common scenario is that the door was unlocked or ajar or whatever, and somebody gained access. And if you listen to the police, the presser from yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
if you listen closely, it sounds as though the way the officer or the chief was hesitating, almost as if there had been he said something, we have to look at all the people. I don't want to misquote him, but something around all the people that have been in and out of the house or something. So
you have to remember as well, and 2 people were left. So if this is a stalker, someone that's been casing them out, they would know 2 people were left behind.
But what if it were just I'm thinking like, okay, so then that brings me to the next thing. It could be somebody it could be a random person or somebody who gained access lying in wait.
Mm-hmm.
And then.
So you're going with just a random act of violence. There was somebody that didn't realize
Right.
that there's 5 people living there and an overnight guest.
Right.
And so left the 2 behind. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm free associating, and I'm sorry to waste your airtime with all my little stories.
No.
I think so when the gal that Kelly, I think that just got off, said that there was a Jack and Jill bathroom. I mean, if you look at the layout of that house, it's obviously been retrofitted to be an apartment for 6 people. There are so many nooks and crannies in that house: the laundry room, the Jack and Jill, the this, the that.
Mm-hmm.
It just it really, somebody, they could have had a party and somebody could have stayed behind. So I don't know. I'm just this is all speculation. I guess the other thing for me, I agree that knifing somebody or somebody's is very personal. It, to me, just smacks of like a drug, almost like a drug fueled rage. And I wonder, did they have some sort of, major drug on board? I'm not talking about the kids that were there, but the person that had, it just feels so fueled to do 4 people in rage like that. And my question is was it drug fueled? And I don't have the answer to that.
I don't have the answer either, because I mean, you're going to have to get the toxicology of the one that did it.
Exactly.
Of course, there's the toxicology of the 4 victims. And we're talking about, they said, okay, one article I read, remember, all of this is new, so things are coming out fast and changing fast. So this happened between 3 and 4. Okay. So you're 4 people in an hour. That's a lot.
Well, that's why I'm saying
it's a lot of rage.
It is a lot of rage. But if somebody has, like, I'm just giving you an example, like bath salts or, a heavy duty illicit drug, it can fuel almost like and sometimes do you remember that guy in Florida that ate off somebody's face? I mean, it was horrible, but that they can get into a literally like a psychotic, otherworldly, bigger than life rage. I don't know. The other thing is, so these are things that are in my mind that I'm waiting to see about. I thought it was very strange that there was one photo that maybe had dripping blood coming out of the side. I don't know if that really was that, but if the perpetrator left the scene, there were no track of his footprint, their footprints or bloody track leaving the house. I didn't see any evidence of that. Isn't that strange?
I haven't seen any pictures of the floor either. I haven't seen pictures of the crime scene. They haven't
No.
published anything like that. But this is a picture where there is blood coming out of the house.
Right, the drips on the side.
Yep.
But how about, I'm saying, let's say somebody fled the scene. Wouldn't we expect that there'd be like along the pathway or whatever outside that there would be bloody? I mean, the way this coroner described that it was just a bloodbath, basically. How could the person have left the scene and they wouldn't have traced some blood along outside? I don't know. It's just a question. That's all. I don't have an answer.
I figured that I mean, there's some hills kind of that go the back side of the house. You know, the grass or something like that wore it off, or I don't know. It's mind blowing for sure.
This is really, this is truly in some ways mind blowing, but in some ways, thank God my kid is no longer in college, because I worried literally every night. I'm like, because you cannot, even if she locked the door behind her and she had her dog with her, but obviously the dog didn't help in this situation. But if you have got 4 apartment mates or 6 it just takes, you just can't count on safety. That's the thing. It's very, as a parent, I swear to God, I was like so nervous with my kids out there at college,
Oh, hell yeah. And they, they're making the assumption they were sleeping. So I go back to, how would they know the layout of this house? Unless, I guess, they got on like a website like this one to know the layout and to know where to go inside the house. But now Ethan, I'll put it back up. Ethan, well, I say I will. I promise I will if I can find it here in a second. It says Ethan was discovered on the floor of the second level. Now, the second level is the ground level, but he was on the second level. He wasn't in bed. I don't know where they found Xana, and I don't know where they found Kaylee or Maddie, but he was on the floor. It makes me wonder if they didn't come in and surprise him and then move along. What I can't get over, and I'm not going to get off of this for a long time until it's explained to me, how there was no sound, how no one was woken up by blood curdling screams. I get the whole, you slit someone's neck, it's done, it's over, they can't scream. Well, if someone's fighting back, it's kind of hard to get to those vital areas.
Okay, but how about this? That first of all, teens and early 20s, definitely when they sleep a lot deeper than we do in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's a whole different REM sleep cycle. And then if they've been partying and drinking and they're even slightly intoxicated, then they're going to sleep deep. I mean, a bomb could go off sometimes when my kids are home and they're not even drunk. I mean, it's incredible. So I guess I'm trying to give these girls a pass, B&B a pass, to say maybe they were just deep asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The whole thing is, in some ways it's surreal, but in some ways it's, like I said, it just takes one door to be left ajar. It takes one person to follow you home. In life, it can be like this, and it's awful, and I feel terrible for the families. And I can tell you right now, if that were my kid's college town, I would be driving up there and picking my kid up and saying, "You're not going back until we know who did this."
Oh, for sure. I can't imagine it even being a option. Let's listen to the coroner again, because she says upper chest, neck. So it's not this clear, clear, just cut across the throat, and you get the main artery and the voice box. There has to be a sound somewhere. So, but they're deep sleepers. Nobody heard. I guess I'll just have to live with that. It's gonna.
No, I'm telling you to believe me. I'm just
Oh,
speculating.
no, not you. It's just driving me crazy, the noise. And I'm a deep sleeper. Once I'm asleep, I'm asleep. But if somebody is, not that it's ever happened to me, but like a blood curdling, fighting, especially when they talk about Xana was fighting back. Let's listen to I want you especially to listen to this, Dr. Latina.
Late at night or early in the morning. So It seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
Were they found in separate areas of the house?
Okay, she said likely maybe they were sleeping. They may not have even been asleep.
Well, I don't. First of all, when somebody says they were likely and then they add maybe, it's like then they don't really know.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the bottom line on that. But the fact that she said that there were multiple and they were in different, like the torso, upper torso, but sounded like there were other. The fatal ones were in the torso, but that there were other stab wounds. To me, sounds like they wouldn't have been asleep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because if somebody's asleep, then it just takes one or two. But this way, it sounds like people were moving around.
That's what it sounds like to me too. And the thing is, it's not one person. It's not one person. It's four.
Right. I mean, it is so weird, man. That's all I'm going to say. I'm trying to make sense of it myself, and I appreciate your having taken the time to hear me out, because I don't really think I've offered anything to the conversation. So.
Oh, no, you're awesome. No, we're not going to know anything about this for weeks. For weeks. Because it just doesn't make it. There's four people. There's four victims. Two are, and then there's two people that I guess they didn't check the whole house.
And then I don't know where those roommates were. Did they say if they were in the basement versus upstairs?
I understand. I heard they were in the basement, and I see some people coming into chat saying the police said they're no longer suspects. Did they say that in the last hour? Because as of this morning, they haven't ruled anybody out.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. This is a very disturbing case, and it's fascinating. And I listen to you all the time, and I just appreciate how you're so interactive with everybody, and you include folks and you read your chat. It's very uplifting.
I love you being up here. You always have great insight and a very informed educational opinion.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm also a mother, so I get all nervous, you know?
Well, and this is nerve-wracking because, like I said, you raise them right. They go to school, whatever school that might be, and the unthinkable happens.
Yeah, it's just terrible. All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to go back to chat, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And I hope you get your Thanksgiving stuff done.
And I hope you enjoy your restaurant.
Hey, listen, at least I don't have to cook. So that's a blessing. And the girls will earn some money. So that's all. And as my daughter said, we'll all be together as one happy family in the restaurant while they're working. So
actually, I think that is pretty awesome. That's a memory.
Yeah, there you go. All right, you take care.
You too, hon.
Okay, bye.
So it seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
Were they found in separate areas of the house?
That hasn't been disclosed yet.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
And so can you tell me if there were multiple stab wounds per victim, or were these sort of, individual lethal stab wounds that may have been less in number, but more in lethality?
There were multiple stab wounds, yes, on them. So, and
were there, go ahead.
And most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound. Yes.
Can you describe what that one might have been?
But they were to the fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Were there, and I only ask this because it sometimes determines what kind of a crime this was, a crime of passion, a random crime, a fight, a struggle. Was there, were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings. And it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death.
God. These poor families. Thanksgiving's less than a week away. All right, somebody asked me to put up a picture of this knife. This is the one that I found. They said this is the knife that they're specifically looking for. Does anybody, if you can just put it in chat, like maybe what publication says that this is the particular brand that the FBI said they're looking for. I have not read that. I saw a couple of people in chat saying that's where that came from. But this is the knife that supposedly they are looking for. That would be a big damn knife, for sure. I agree. It's a very personal attack. A very personal attack. So I go back to personal attack. You've got it out for someone in the home, maybe more than one. How did you leave two behind? They must not have realized how many people live in that house or didn't care they were that pissed off. I don't know. I don't know. Also, there was no essay on the victims. None. I saw that a second ago. I'm putting that back up. Breaking news details. The coroner says all victims were killed using a large knife. Each victim was stabbed more than once. There is no indication of any essay. They have not yet determined whether there were defensive wounds. Now, she says that, but let's go to the interview with Xana's father. Hold on one second. He gave an interview to his local station in Arizona. Okay, I need to hear that again because he's talking about the sliding door and he's talking about the keypad. So bear with me. I don't know if they told him that or if he's making that assumption. Do you guys know? Okay, well, he mentions the keypad, then the sliding door. That could be really anything, to be quite honest. That could be, it still leaves everything up in the air for me. That could be someone that knows, they're familiar with the house and knew the combination to get in. Or it could be a random that got in through the sliding glass door that wasn't locked. Now, my question is, maybe some of you know, because I can't find it, and I don't know that it's even that relevant right now. So we know Ethan and Xana were at a party. Maddie and Kaylee were at a bar. So where were the other two roommates? Were they home all night? Separate parties? One had a date, one was at a party. One, I don't know. If anybody had heard that. I'm going to listen to that again. Hang on. Because he's got a lot of information.
Learning more about a young woman.
Since her dad moved to Avondale a few years ago. He describes her as fun, smart, and strong-willed, and says it's impossible to imagine she was killed in the worst homicide police say they've ever.
Mary, I hate all this speculation when you haven't even looked at all the information out there. That's what we're doing. I clearly said this case is moving really fast. What they reported yesterday, now they've either not retracted, they've either added to it, or they've changed it. That's what we're doing, Mary. If you see something wrong in one of these articles or one of these clips, please let me know.
Ever seen in this small Idaho city.
She literally
I just cannot imagine talking to a news reporter, having to talk about how your child fought for their very last breath. This is awful. This is awful. MH said so they were awake. I don't know. It's speculated they could be asleep. It's speculated they could be awake. We know that it was reported that Ethan was found on the floor of the second floor. The second floor is the ground level floor. Now I'm going to look at the house again, and I have another article or another news clip to go through, because it's not the first time that the sliding door has been mentioned. It's been heavily speculated that many people knew the code to get in the house through the keypad. I think that's a pretty good guess. They're college kids. Someone's been invited over and they're like, hey, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to get in, and make sure you jerk the handle twice, type of thing. That could be it. But the sliding door, if it's random, they got to have a way to get out. Sorry, obviously get out, get in. All right, so there is here, I can see the top of the steps. So it was rumored that the 2 girls that survived were downstairs, so like the basement area. Not in the basement like a dungeon or anything, but there was bedrooms down there. I don't know. They haven't said where everybody was, except Ethan was on the floor of the second floor. Was it Ethan that somebody was checking on and they could see him through the window? That's what makes sense to me. So you can see that railing, you go down those stairs, you're in the basement area. That's the first floor. The second floor is a ground floor. Okay, there's the sliding door. Looks like that's a pantry for the kitchen. There's a better look at the sliding door. Some of those sliding doors, they don't even have to be open. You can shake them off the tracks and get in if you want. Don't try it. More of the kitchen. I can't tell. I got to blow this picture up. Obviously, there's some woods out there, but is there like a little road back there? Not like the main road. I have to blow that up later. All right, there's one of the bathrooms. Window to a balcony. That would be on the 3rd floor. There's a sliding door to the 3rd floor. I don't think anyone climbed up. So, like has been said many times, either somebody knew the keypad code, which could be a lot of people, or the sliding door. I'm going with the sliding door. That is subject to change because in these cases, things change in a heartbeat. Xana having defensive wounds changes a lot for me. A lot for me. And there's this, I plead the 5th. If it's random, is it somebody just looking for a thrill kill? Because there was no SA. As far as we know, nothing was taken, and their parents might have money, but they don't have a lot of money. They normally don't want credit cards and things like that because they can be tracked, you know? The link is at the top. The link is pinned to the top, my friends. All right, I'm going to take that down, and then I'm going to put up the last news clip. This came out this morning, I believe.
Four days ago, four University of Idaho students, were killed near campus.
In the days that followed, the community was left reeling and looking for answers.
And police answered some of those questions we saw right here live during the news at 4 during a news conference yesterday, but there are still so many unknown factors.
In the meantime, students and people in the area say they haven't felt safe. So today, we continue to hear from people on and near the campus.
And News Channel 7's Abby Davis is live in Moscow. We saw you, Abby, at the top of the hour, and you had some updates there for us, right?
That's right, Shira. And now the Moscow Police Department just released the Latah County's coroner's official report ruling the cause of death a homicide, murder, and the manner of death a stabbing. So that was some new confirmed information we got within the last 30 minutes. Now police say they don't have a suspect or a suspects, and all of the students I talked with today sounded pretty wary and not super safe on campus. They said that they're all just being extra cautious right now, staying in at night and walking places with their friends, kind of the buddy system right now. Now, Idaho State Police confirmed today they are looking for a knife purchased around town. There is increased campus security right now, and ISP also increased its presence around town. We confirm there is a behavioral analysis unit of the FBI helping with the case. They're helping create profiles of unknown offenders, offering investigative suggestions and strategies. And here's what we know. Officers responded to a 911 call about an unconscious person Sunday at noon. When they got to the house on King Road near U of I's campus, they found the 4 students dead. Moscow Police Chief James Fry also said 2 roommates were home when it happened, but didn't go so far as to call them witnesses, and says they were not hurt. The murders happened sometime early Sunday morning, but Fry did not say why it took so long for someone to call 911 rather. And he also wouldn't clarify who made the call specifically. Now, I spoke with U of I's Dean of Students, Blaine Eccles, earlier today, and witnesses, and says they were not hurt. The murders happened sometime early Sunday morning, but Fry did not say why it took so long for someone to call 911 rather.
Okay, so this is the most recent clip that I could find that had a lot of information. So they still don't know why it took so long to call 911. We know 2 girls were still in the house. People speculate, and that's fine, that they were traumatized and they were locked in the room. They were not coming out. They were not coming out. That's a good speculation. That's a good theory. Now, getting tongue-tied. As I look at the layout of the house more, I could actually see if they were truly in the basement, that's where their bedrooms are, how they wouldn't hear anything. I really could see how they wouldn't hear it as clearly, if you know what I mean. The coroner said no essay. We can only speculate how they got into the house, except we do know there's no forced entry. The police did say that. Hang on. Along your path said the roommates were on the 3rd floor, not the basement. So 4 girls were on the 3rd floor along your path. So D and B were on the 3rd floor, and so were Maddie and Kaylee. I don't know. They got to come out and say where everybody was in that house. SRB said even locked in the rooms and scared, there are windows. I wondered about, we saw windows. Okay, and then Bree said she hears everything from above. I guess we got to know how they hear things. I don't know. Yeah, Janice, there's 3 stories. There's a basement, then there's a 2nd floor where the sliding glass door goes into the kitchen, and then there's a 3rd floor. We just looked at the layout of the house.
And he also wouldn't clarify who made the call specifically. Now, I spoke with U of I's Dean of Students, Blaine Eccles, earlier today, and he reminded students to take care of themselves.
We have drop-in counseling available over at our Counseling and Testing Center up on the 3rd floor, Mary Forney Hall. Students can also call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to our main counseling number, which is 208-885-6716, and select option 3 in the evenings or weekends, and they'll definitely connect with someone as well.
Police are keeping information about the attack close to their vests, Chief Fry said multiple times they don't want to give away any information that could compromise their investigation or any upcoming prosecution. Now, just to reiterate, police don't have a suspect or suspects at this time. They also don't have a description. So they're asking community members to stay vigilant, be careful, just kind of what those students were doing earlier. We can see behind me, campus there are still some people, you can see the cars driving by, but people are going home for Thanksgiving break, and we know students are leaving, and they're asking anybody who knows anything to call their tip line. And Shira and Doug, we also learned today that they are planning on releasing an email tip line as well, and that phone tip line should be on your screen right now.
All right, Abby. Yeah, and they're planning to vigil at the U of I for November 30th at 5 or 5:30, but no specific location yet. We'll keep people updated on that. Abby, thank you for updating us on what's going on in Moscow today.
And then they say, in light of new information shared by the police department at this afternoon's press conference, remind the community to be alert and aware, keep your hands free and eyes up when walking, trust your instincts, ask for help when you need it. So they're telling everyone to be hyper vigilant for sure. I saw several comments talking about how the door was left open. The door was left open when the police got there. The door was open. This is the weather from overnight. This happened between 3 and 4 in the morning, is what all the reports say. Okay, so it was 25 degrees and the door was left open. Not looking for the killer to be worried about their heating bill or anything like that. Don't expect them to be worried about the utility bills. But I would think that the girls in the house, if they were really asleep, would have been cold. They would have noticed that the heat wasn't working as well. There's just a lot of really weird things. And I'm not blaming the girls. I'm going through all the different oddities of this case. And I'm not running out of any. This is a crazy, weird ass case. Really weird. Hang on, I missed a comment. I should have slowed down the comments. I'm sorry. Monkey wants to know about the pet dog. Chief Fry says Kaylee's dog has been returned to a secondary owner. So the puppy's with another home. I wonder about the dog too. We're talking about oddities. Like I said, the puppy, the dog. Did the dog not make noise? Did the dog not make noise? I'm going to go through a couple of these pictures. Have you guys all seen this picture? I cannot believe this. Until I saw it actually picked up by news outlets, I was like, somebody photoshopped that. Somebody photoshopped that. That freaks me out. All right, so there's the outside of the house. I don't know why they took pictures of the beer cans. They said there was no party going on that night. But anyway, there's some beer cans outside the house. It says outside the property, saw trash left over from the home's final parties. There was no party overnight. But if they had had frequent parties, well, somebody would know the house. Okay, there's the balcony. As we were looking at the layout of the house, I don't see stairs going to the balcony. That was one of my questions. Because I haven't seen a very good picture of the outside of the house to see if somebody maybe got in to the sliding door on the 3rd floor. Well, the door's wide open then, but I don't know that they found it that way. That might be another door, but that door's wide open for sure. This is the fraternity house where Ethan lived. Anybody know how far the fraternity house is from the house? video of at the food truck. And I think it was on Court TV last night. They were watching the video of the girls at the food truck, and they said they're not acting out of sorts for them, I'm assuming, because they don't know them, because the family looked at it. They said they're just taking selfies, talking to people, nothing out of the ordinary. Like I said, I don't know them, but they must have asked someone. The video from the food truck really creeps me out. Just to have footage at someone's final hours. And there's the chief. Somebody asked me if I have a video from Good Morning America this morning. Let me see. I don't know if I do. Hang on. I have so much stuff here loaded. There was something from this morning, but it doesn't have the family on there. What are you talking about, Christina's sister? It just says latest updates.
Shocking murders of.
Well, I'll put that up. Maybe that's the one. Hang on.
Four college students in Idaho.
The FBI is joining the manhunt for the killer as investigators return to the crime scene looking for any new evidence that could shed light on the mysterious killings. Mola Lange is in Moscow, Idaho, with the latest. Good morning, Mola.
Well, good morning, Michael. Police say they believe this was a targeted attack. Now, it's been nearly 1 week since that attack, and still no arrests, no suspects, and police warning the potential threat to the community still remains.
New clues this morning as police search for a killer following the gruesome deaths of 4 University of Idaho students at an off-campus home, 2 roommates surviving. Overnight, a family spokesperson for one of those roommates telling ABC News exclusively the young woman is traumatized and working with the FBI. Idaho State Police telling ABC's Kana Whitworth the 2 surviving roommates have been very cooperative.
Talking with them to figure out what occurred and why. That's their story to tell. Potentially they are witnesses. Potentially they are victims. We want
potentially
to protect
they're the key to this whole thing.
Exactly. Potentially they're the key to this whole thing.
ABC News has learned the survivors did not make the call to 911, which came in several hours after the murders.
Many of our witnesses and people who knew these folks or were housemates are not in town. And so the investigators are having to go wherever they are to try to interview them.
The county coroner releasing the autopsy, confirming all 4 victims were stabbed to death, saying she believes a large knife was used, but it has yet to be determined, quote, whether there were any defensive wounds. At the home on King Street, the Idaho State Police crime lab at the scene, looking for any new evidence. Authorities asking local businesses if anyone has recently bought a fixed blade knife.
Hi.
Welcome back. This video from early Sunday morning helping investigators piece together a timeline. Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen seen at a local food truck, laughing and taking pictures just hours before they were brutally murdered, along with Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin. Meanwhile, fear growing in the community as police follow leads.
No one has been ruled included or excluded as a person of interest and or a suspect. Everyone is still being investigated.
I think a lot of people are afraid, and I'm definitely nervous.
Abigail Spencer, editor of the school newspaper, says there is more police presence, but campus is eerie and many students have gone home.
There's still a suspect at large. There is still so much we don't know about the case.
Well, the coroner telling ABC News she believes each victim was stabbed multiple times. The state forensics lab now conducting tests on potential DNA evidence found at the scene that could take weeks to analyze, Michael.
Mogen, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Joining us now is threat assessment psychologist, Dr. Marisa Rendazzo. And Doc, thank you for joining us this morning. And Doc, we have 4 brutal stabbings. Police are reportedly trying to track down a specific combat knife. What kind of profile are they putting together on the possible killer?
Couple things they're going to be looking for here with the combat knife that they're looking for. One of the things that we know from targeted attacks is that sometimes the individuals who carry them out will get to a point where they dress as what we in the field call a pseudo commander. They have gotten tactical gear that really shows a commitment to carrying this out. So investigatively, they're going to be looking at recent purchases of this combat knife that they think may be involved, other tactical gear like tactical vests, someone may have been dressed at. So they're also going to be asking about witnesses in the area who may have seen someone who is in that type of gear. Now, the other thing they're going to be looking for is information through social media, DMs, things like that, of someone who might have been pursuing one of these roommates or one of the victims because they were interested in a romantic relationship, a fixated pursuit. So they're going to be looking to see if there's any social media indication there, anything in emails that someone was pursuing an interest, fixated, stalking, because this is a very intimate crime that we're talking about here.
And you're an expert in targeted attacks. So do you believe this was targeted and that there was only one killer?
It is highly likely that there was only one killer. I believe it is also very likely they were targeting one of the individuals, possibly 2, but that they've encountered 2 others at the same time. We typically don't see knife attacks, stabbings that are carried out by multiple people. This is typically going to be one person. It's always possibility, but likelihood that it's just one we're talking about.
Dr. Rendazzo, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here.
Well, she had a lot of information. I kind of see what she's saying, even though it's above my pay grade. Maybe somebody was infatuated and had this all built up in their mind. I don't know. If they were having these frequent parties, then the layout of the house wouldn't be a problem because, well, they've been there. What I don't understand is if they are familiar with the house to the point where they know the key code and everything like that, then they know there's 2 other roommates. And no, I'm not blaming the roommates. Like the detective said, victims, witnesses, the key to the whole thing. Nobody's been ruled out, though. A scorned ex. I don't see how anybody that did this couldn't have some kind of wound on them. I don't see how they couldn't. I guess it's all possible, but it's not just an attack on anybody else. On anybody else. Sorry, I was reading a chat. It wasn't just an attack on anybody, just one person. This is 4. This is psychotic. This is a homicidal maniac. This is a homicidal maniac. It's insane. It's insane. All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got, unless somebody wants to grab the link and come up and chat and tell me your thoughts on this. If not, I'm going to start shutting this down and let everybody get off to their weekend. We're going to have 2 shows on Monday, I know for sure. Members, make sure throughout the weekend, as always, check the members tab, because we're going to be having some thankful for you members shows. On Monday, I'm going to go through the plea agreement for Kayla Montgomery, and we're going to continue to follow this case for sure. I'm trying to figure out a time for a show over the weekend, so make sure y'all hit your reminders, take a minute to get subbed up, and come in and chat with me. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a great Friday. I hope you have a great weekend. If I don't see you in Discord or one of the Facebook groups, then I'll see you back here on Monday morning or perhaps throughout the weekend. But I will definitely see you around because you guys are the best chat and best community on YouTube for sure. Thank you.